Welcome back to Excel for Economics. We've gone through a number of things. Now we're on to lookup. So lookup, the command is kind of old and deprecated, and then we have vlookup and hlookup. And we'd also want to know the columns and rows that something may appear in. So let's go to our example. So here we have a data table, which has a bunch of things coming from stocks. So these are the dates, and these are the opens, the high, the low, the close, and the adjusted close. So if we want to look up item number 11 and get this value, the date it was, we can use lookup. Look up the value, which is in I9. And what are we looking up? Well, we're looking it up in this array right here. Close brackets. And we've got 15,792. And we could control enter and it'll give us that as well. Now, if we give this thing a name, okay, so we're gonna now name this entire area. So we're gonna define a name and we'll call it the stock prices. Okay, so now we can register this array whenever we need to. So, I think we need to have the rows in there. So name manager allows us to manage the names that we have. We can see all these ones, the stock prices we need to edit. So we need to make sure that we have row 8 in there. And we can see that we don't, so we need to go 8. Because we'll want to grab these names when we do the hlookup. Okay, so that's how you edit the named items when you need them, and you could also delete them if you needed to. Okay, so now we want the open. So how do we use this? We use the vlookup, and this will vertically look up. What value? Well, we want to look up the value 5. Okay, and now we want to take that from a table or array. Well, we know what that is. That's stock prices. And now we need a column index. So here it's showing you what you're highlighting, and it'll say start at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we want the open value, so that's 1, 2, 3. So that's the third column. And true or false, true means you need an approximate match, so it'll go down this list and it will stop at the thing that's just before it or exactly equal to it. False means you're going to get a precise match. False is safer because it'll provide you with errors. Okay, and then we could also look up words like waffle, and we can see that we can grab the open and close for those two. Now, if we want to choose a date, well, then that's a different array, and the vlookup always starts at the leftmost column, and that's where it looks in order to get the grab. So we need to say vlookup, look up the value there. What array? Well, it's my date in the leftmost column. And then my column index is, I still want the open, so that's 2. And is now 2 because I've shifted over by 1. So I've got 3 minus 1. And then false. And I should be able to get the correct answer. 15,701. There we are right there. Okay. Control enter and it'll fill that in for us with the next date. Now, if we wanted to drag these over, what's going to happen? Well, if I drag these over, it says not applicable, not applicable, not applicable. Why? Because this is now searching for something which is in here, which doesn't exist. So it can't find anything. So what do we need to do? Well, we need to lock this to our values that we're looking for. So we're going to lock these down. And now when we drag it over, it'll give us identical to what we have, but now we want to go to the low, which is column 5. So we need 5 and 5. Now remember, these ones were shifted by 1, so we're going to be at 4 and 4. The close, 6 and 5s. So here we'd have 6, 6, and then 5 and 5. If we wanted to make sure that these things are fixed in some way, we could actually use that as a relative position. Okay. So we know that open is always 3, so we could type 3 here, 5 here, and 6 here, and then use it as a function. So we'd say, look up that value, M7. We'd want it to always remain in the same row. So then if we go down, and now we can drag it across without concern. Okay, and we should match up to 5 and 5. Now here we want to stay in the same column. And then when we drag it across, it'll keep the relative position. Okay, same kind of thing works for hlookup, where 5, we're looking up row 5 in this table. The table is the entire thing. So we could actually mark these in if we really wanted to, or we can look it up. So we need to look up what waffle is in this table. So we could say look up this value in this array. That's not giving us the right thing. No, we need to match this with this array. And that'll give us the correct row and column. So we need to hold that fixed, and this one we want to maintain the same row but not column. And we should, this one's saying 35 because it's saying it got to the end. Why? Because this is a date. So we're in the wrong column for our match. And then we go 12. It should be right around there, which it is. So now we have the column lookup. So now we can do an hlookup. hlookup of the date value. Okay. In what table? Well, stock prices. And which row index? And we want false. We want the exact match. And there we go. Now we have the date for row 6, which is number 5, which is exactly right. Making this a little bit more robust, we can have 4 to remain in the same column and remain in the same row. And stock prices is fixed. And we should be able to fill in everything here all at once, which we can. Okay. We also have something called row. So if we want to find out what row things are in, rather than use our match command, we can say, all right, give me the row of row of D8. Row of, let's say, our open. It'll give us 8. Column of open, and it'll give us the column. It's the third column. So if we want to use a relative position, we can obtain that quite easily. So this is relative to here, A1 is 1, 1. And we could obtain that for any of these other things. Okay, great. And we'll see you in the next video.